Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. Let's watch and see what comes out of my face.
You can let him know or whatever, you know.
I don't need to let him know.
I've had a lot of people screw me over before. So.
I'm not gonna screw you over. Maybe you should lighten up on me just a little.
Yeah. So it's that obliviousness that she has. What? I think she might reside in her head a little too much. Like, she knows this isn't a threat. She knows she doesn't really want to be with the guy. She knows it's complicated. With Calibria, the bits that we saw, the way she was framing this was that, well, do I know that? Maybe I was just assuming that. Because the way it sounded was on and off, and even when they're on, at least most of the time, they're not like on, right? They're not like, we're going to get married one day or anything like. It's just like, you know, casual dating a little bit more intensely because you're kind of committed to each other or something like that. But the way she's framing it is she's had a boyfriend as she's heading into this. At least they haven't shown it in the edit, that she hasn't emphasized how, I don't know, how lacking in foundation this relationship is, how much contempt I think she has for this guy. The way she was talking to Calibria, she has contempt for him. Having said that, if you're still entangled with a guy that you have contempt with, it sounds like a Trevor situation where there's toxicity and therefore some kind of compulsion towards each other. That is often the case. It's like, well, if things aren't working out, then you break up, right? If someone's treating you poorly, why do you continue seeing it? Well, often it's because there's some bond, some compulsion, some need or something that can't be rationalized away. And even if you're with someone new like Patrick, you would still potentially struggle with that. Not automatic, but it is a flag, right? It's a concern, and he's exhibiting that. And then when he very respectfully expresses his concern, which everyone would have, right? She's like, you need to take it easy on me. Like, why am I getting the third degree? It's just, I don't know. Looked at simply, she doesn't have empathy. She doesn't have a heart, but I don't think that's it. I think it's some kind of obliviousness. So there's a chance that in her circle, this is more normal. Maybe she grew, what did we find out about her? Let's go to the notes, people. Let's see. Dating a high school. Wait, is this the guy that she's been talking? This must be the guy. She talked about dating her high school boyfriend on and off for 10 years. She's 34 now, though. So if it was for 10 years, she would have broken up with the guy at the latest at 28. She's 34 now, 33 maybe on the show while it's filming. She says, I've never not been cheated on, so that's great. She grew up Mormon, so I don't know. But if she's talking about her, I guess it doesn't really matter. But it sounds like if I do the math right, then she has 2 on and off long-term relationships, which doesn't necessarily say something, but it could say something. I don't know what it would necessarily say, but yeah, I'm still pulling for the 2 of them, but Casey isn't making it easy.
Maybe you should lighten up on me just a little, you know? I really fucking like you. So I don't even... This is like the weirdest thing in my life I've ever done.
Yeah, I think she's trying, and I think her heart's in the right place. I hope it is. She is just a little oblivious to the reality of what she's sharing. I think there's a chance that she has a childish aspect. Most of her is not this way, but a part of her that is not fully aware of how she impacts other people. There are people like that. It's not an empathy thing per se. They have empathy, but they just don't have experience, or they have something getting in the way, like they were neglected growing up and they didn't have that frequent back and forth, or they had parents that were overreactive and so they just had to sort of shut themselves off to data coming in from outside. But I don't know, there's something kind of wonky about it, that she's authentic, she's upfront, I think she genuinely cares about Patrick. I think she wants to be with him. And she just discloses this whole thing and is critical of him when he is very politely asking for reassurance or exploring it with her. Now, there's a chance that she, in what was left on the editing floor, told him a lot of things that I would hope someone would say, just more fleshing out. It doesn't look that way, but it is kind of interesting to see her react this way. And she, I think, right, I don't know, but the way I'm interpreting this is that she might know that she's oblivious and she's like, oh, what am I doing and what's happening right now? And she doesn't know where to go. Doesn't it kind of look that way?
You're good. I really like you too.
I want you to love me, but I don't know if I can fully love you until I get to like touch you.
So once again, honesty. So I've often, I think I've said this in other reaction videos, when it's come up, right? When people hesitate or will, when they do touch the person or see the person in person and they do react, then they do change their mind and we say, oh, they were faking the whole time or they're manipulating the whole time. And maybe some for sure, but I've often said that the whole package is what we're interacting with, right? We're not always going to be talking through a wall. It's not necessarily looks, it's the way it feels, the way that someone's pheromones are, the way that you kiss, the way that you hold, the way that you have eye contact, you know, the way you fit. You can't put those things into words. And yet they're often very important, if not more important, perhaps even than the way that we talk to each other, or at least up there, right? So I've often figured that that is absolutely part of it. It doesn't mean that you're faking Love is Blind. You're just like, well, I want to fall in love and I want to meet someone and I want someone to know me without knowing how I look, even though they've both talked to each other about how hot they are. And then once I fall in love and we meet in person and I love the way that we feel together, then, it'll be everything to me and I'll move forward. Or if it's like, maybe we're not perfect physically together, but you can't have everything in life and there's enough attraction, there's enough chemistry there that this is most of the package. Because, sometimes, contrary to rom-coms, 90% of your boxes being checked is maybe the best any of us can do sometimes, you know what I mean? Anyway, I know that's not very romantic, but sometimes that's true. Anyway, so once again, Casey is saying it out loud, something that I imagine a lot of them feel, if not all of them feel. And it's interesting that, there's something kind of innocent about it for her, that she is not aware or doesn't fully have in her senses how things will come across to other people, and she just says things that are honest. But the things that she says, for the most part, aren't red flags. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see. I kind of appreciate it to some extent.
Me, but I don't know if I can fully love you until I get to like touch you. I don't know. I want to touch you so bad.
I'm like a baby.
Yeah, I was wondering if she was saying that because she felt the impulse to touch, to hug, to have eye contact, to have that love shared, that reassurance, that ability to communicate love and commitment through physical touch. Because in that moment, she felt like she was losing him, and she might have felt maybe ashamed of herself or something, criticized. And under normal circumstances, she would go, oh, no, and hug, and no, I love you, and I want to be with you, and hugging would be a big part of that. And then she brings that up because that's what's in her mind, and then she explicitly just said that, yeah.
I don't know. I want to touch you so bad.
I'm like a baby seal.
I know.
You're going to love the baby seal. I swear to God.
I'm not sure, but I think what he's talking about is that he doesn't have any hair. And as a fellow half Asian, but even on my white side, there isn't a lot of body hair. Like, of the uncles and grandfathers there's more Japanese guys that can grow a beard than on my white side, which is like Swedish, English people. Although you might see some, but I don't know, like it's kind of spotty. As the older I get, it gets a little less spotty. Anyway, but yeah, I don't have a lot of hair either.
Oh my gosh, Patrick, we were changing.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, you have a landing strip. And now that's been the whole talk.
Shut.
So she's saying they were changing with the women in the show, and she has a landing strip, and now everyone's talking about her landing strip. They changed together? That's interesting. Because in the hotel, they wouldn't be in the same room because they go back to a hotel. So they have like a changing room in the pods?
Yeah. I wanted to make sure I was like ready for my man. So if you wanted me to like go get it off or shave it, I could go do that, you know? Yeah, it would take like literally one pull.
My wife does, I don't know, I think she does waxing, but she does sugar as well. Anyway, she did that on me once to a lot of laughs. So I wonder if people watching this would think that she's trying to manipulate him by bringing up sex after she just put her foot in her mouth with the boyfriend that she had just heading into the pods. But it is potentially an honest transition because she feels distance. She's like, I want to touch you. And then he says, essentially, I have no hair. And she's like, I don't have much hair either. So it does track, right? I will also say there was something about the way that she said to him, I'll do whatever you want down there, which is fine. People are like, yeah, I could do a lot of different things down there. And one of the things is whatever you want. But I don't know, there seems something kind of subservient, like she felt she needed to be that way, or that she doesn't have agency over her body, like her body is there for others. Of course, women in general will be given that message. Not every woman ascribes to that, or it has enough of that to be noticeably having that internalization. But I don't know. It just raised a tiny little question there. I obviously can't know from the way she said that. On the surface, though, yeah, I mean, they're just, having a meandering conversation over the span of hours.
And I want to give you what you need.
Yeah, for sure. It's all...
In a lot of ways.
I'm more than ecstatic for that, mentally for sure, and like physically outside of the sexual realm for sure.
I feel like we've gotten there.
Yeah. Now I understand why Joe and Dylan, I think his name was, were laughing with or at Patrick because of his lack of ability to say things in a clear way, or his, he's a man of few words. And when he's uncomfortable, just think about it. So she's, I don't know, maybe turned on, maybe trying to juice things up. And she's saying, hey, baby, if we get together, you can have it whatever you like down. The carpet could be there or not. We could have hardwood floors. We could have shag, whatever you like. And then he's like, oh, yeah, for sure. Cool, And then she's like, because I just want to please my man, like every way. I want to do all the things that my man wants. And he's like, yeah, totally. Like, yeah, in the sexual realm, things are important. I just want to rewind.
A lot of ways.
I'm more than ecstatic for that, mentally for sure, and like physically outside of the sexual realm for sure.
I mean, God bless Patrick. God bless Patrick.
Couldn't have asked for anything more perfect than you.
Wow.
I want you. And I want to fuck you, and I want to love you, and I want to give you everything I've got.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, on one hand, there's a possibility that she's just genuinely feeling it, and she's talking about it. There did seem to be a through line that eventually got to this energetic talk, and she is pretty honest, so we can be assured that there's a chance that she's very honest right now. She was talking about the carpet and the hardwood floors and all that kind of stuff. And then she, I think, was indicating that she was starting to feel engorged, if you will. She said something along those lines, like, "Oh, I'm feeling," and then now she's verbalizing it, which is what she does. She seems to verbalize what is in her heart and in her mind. So there's that possibility. The other possibility, I think, is in line with what I was saying earlier, that she feels like she's losing him and she is trying to be appealing to him, which isn't wrong, but could be seen as not real, maybe manipulative or something. I'm guessing that at least a portion of the audience would see this that way, because I've seen that before, that I think people from sex negative and slut shaming cultural pockets would see this as, why would a woman have this kind of conversation if she wasn't trying to slutify herself to attract a man? Now, also, there's a possibility that is what's happening, or at least a factor. It doesn't look that way to me, but, I'll just mention that. The other thing that this could be an indication of that I was mentioning earlier is that when she feels ashamed or that she's going to lose someone due to her early childhood experiences or early relationships, she goes into a mode where she's overly pleasing and she is just a vessel for another man's needs, lust included. And as she is losing him, feels like she might be losing him, she just prostrates her body and herself and her energy, just like, I will do whatever you want. I'll change the carpet to hardwood floors if you, whatever you need. There's been a long, in terms of the edit anyway, there's been a long, and he's just taking in, and I don't know what he's thinking. There's a possibility that he's really eating it up, but he's not a man of words. And so he's being just quiet and going, wow, every once in a while. Or he is feeling like she's trying to do something to him. She's trying to manipulate him or trying to suck him in or trying to cover up the fact that she has a boyfriend heading into the pods or something. So who knows? But I thought I'd mention that. I still think it's the first thing. I think she's just honest and she's feeling it and she's talking about it. And but I don't know. All three of them could be at play. All right, well, let's adjourn there. Tune in next time when I continue watching, and everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.